Hello, Internet, and thank you very much for tuning in to Cloud Native Islamabad YouTube channel. And my name is Saim Safdar, and we're covering topics like DevOps, platform engineering, generative AI, supply chain security for a very long time in this YouTube channel. We happen to cover 27 CNCF open source projects from live maintainer sessions and including topics like Kubernetes, Flux and Argo CD, service meshes like Istio and Linkerd. We cover those topics in a very great detail on this YouTube channel. We cover supply chain security and observability as well. So you are in a very good channel if you happen to subscribe to this YouTube channel because this is a breadth of cloud native ecosystem and the platform engineering, DevOps, and generative AI. Those waves we will cover all the time with a respective guest. Today, we shifted our focus a little bit. Rather than inviting some individual maintainers or the companies or the vendors on the specific open source tool, we invited DevOps engineer who actually been using these tools in the production environment, and they happen to have some questions for me in particular. So I have been in a very hard seat today because I have some very tough question to be considered on this YouTube channel. But let's start a little bit agenda today on this YouTube channel. If you are joining this YouTube channel for the very first time, this is a channel we explore everything shaping the future of platform engineering, DevOps, cloud native Kubernetes, generative AI, supply chain security, and bunch of the open source tools that you always been using in your production or local environment, sometime in experimentation, and more often than not in the production setup. Over the decade, the DevOps has emerged and transformed organization build and shift software. We moved from the manual deployment to CI/CD, from virtual machine to container, and from monolithic application to the microservices style applications, and from infrastructure as code to the GitOps. Today, our focus and the big shift is around: is DevOps roadmap is now updated? What is the how are the traditional DevOps roadmap laid out? What are update to it? Because we are in August of 2026, and this question populates a lot. Is traditional DevOps roadmap still relevant today in the age of Gen AI? So I have my guest today, you joining me from for the very first time, and his name is Ahmed Fawad. Ahmed, you are live. People, anybody can views you. So, guys, this is a big shift to this YouTube channel. So, rather than people commenting on the YouTube channel, so I invited one of our subscriber and the DevOps engineer to ask questions live from the production environment they have been working on in the Kubernetes clusters or some of the stuff that I'm totally not new about what Ahmed has been doing currently in the company or what's the project he's been working on. But it's up to him who he can ask any question. And if you want to join me in the recent episode of the Cloud Native Islamabad episode, so you can join us as well. Ahmed, without any delay, let's go to straight to you. Tell us a little bit about yourself, where you are busy, and some of the things you have been working on quite lately. Thank you. And first of all, thank you very much for joining Cloud Native Islamabad YouTube channel.
You're welcome, and thank you for having me here, Sam. It's an honor to be a part of this initiative, Cloud Native Islamabad. As per your question and as for the audience, like I am a DevOps engineer and I cannot reveal the company which I'm working in. So like I started my journey when I learned my first course of cloud AWS from you, like Sam Sabda from Sam Sabda. So I had some questions that time, and now some of them are the same, and some questions are evolved with the time. So thank you so much for having this session, so that the people like me and like other professionals as well can get the idea and insights in the like revolution in the DevOps.
Oh, awesome. Thank you
Yeah,
very much, Ahmed. And Ahmed is one of, I teach a course in some of the institution called MetaPi in
yeah, in
my region
Islamabad. Yeah.
in Islamabad, and we happen to be a trainer for that course. And Ahmed met me that time, and it's all about the AWS Cloud Practitioner course. And happily, Ahmed has done the certification right now. He has earned the certification. He's now the AWS Cloud Practitioner certified, and he has some questions around DevOps in particular.
Mhm.
And then on that time, we decided rather than I individually answer my question one on one, why not we do a live stream? Because I find out these are the universal question. So if you will live in any part of the world, these questions always populate and frustrate us, and we want to find a better answer for those questions. So Ahmed, thank you very much for joining once again, and
Mhm.
being
You're
very
welcome.
brave enough to actually prepare your question for that as well. So I'm in the hot seat. I do not
Yeah.
know what question you have, but tell us a little bit about yourself. Like, what are the projects you have been working on? Without
Mhm.
closing any company detail or anything, just tell us
Mhm.
about recent work on the some of the DevOps side, on the application delivery side,
Mhm.
and some of the things that motivated you to be a part of the DevOps engineering side.
Well, basically, like as I told you, I cannot reveal the company, but I can just give you some overview of the projects I'm working on. Like on the DevOps side, like as per the question of how I like shifted or like directed myself to the DevOps engineering field is totally because of the AI revolution. As the development side is just like half done already because of the AI. You just have to think of how to use it. Basically, it's like a calculator. You just know how digits work, and calculator does all the work for you. Is just like that. So but for the operations, like AI can't be responsible or take the accountability of how the architecture should be, how the boards should work, how the containers should allocate computation and storage and everything. So for that we need human beings and we need like human minds for it and accountability for it. So like that was the core of my diversion to this side, specifically on the operation side. So like currently I'm working on most on the operation side, less on the development side. Well, basically, like as of today, I deployed my application. I fetched the data from the database, Carbon database, and then I rendered it on the UI dashboards. So as per the requirement of the customer base, obviously I displayed the data and I just deployed it on the container and CI/CD line, CI/CD pipeline basically, and then the uh, I also configured the ports. We won't go to the details of it because it will take much more time than the stream. So like that's all basically.
Oh, awesome. Good, Ahmed. Ahmed, you have
Yeah.
any questions? Now it's your turn to ask because I think you have some very wonderful questions all the time whenever have the chance to speak with each other.
Yeah. Yeah. Those are some kind words from you, but like for starter, we have a very basic question. It's a very predictable question. I say, like, is the roadmap of DevOps, is it still relevant in 2026 like it was before when we met and like in the starting phase of the DevOps, or it has been changed since then? What
I
are
think
your
this is
thoughts on it?
absolutely. Thank you very much for
Hmm.
asking. I think that once again, as I told, these are the very general questions every people have their mind. So once
Hmm.
again, if you're unable to hear, friends, I add in the screen as well what actually Ahmed asked. Is the traditional DevOps roadmap still relevant in 2026, or has DevOps fundamentally changed? I think, particularly when I started my software delivery or the application or the software development in particular,
Mm-hmm.
I started my first job as software engineering. So back then, we write an application, front end, mostly these are the monolithic applications, front end,
Okay.
back end databases, and sometimes the cache as well. So the front end, back end include the APIs, and
Mm-hmm.
then there's a database for that. So we only write an application in a way that we bundle them in a system that where we actually been developing, and that binaries has to be pushed somewhere in the production pipeline. And then we do the same thing for the back end as well, the front end and back end. We push the binaries and applications and bundle them
Mm-hmm.
together. Sometime we have some very weird issues. The environment consistency is become one of them because
Mm-hmm.
we fundamentally run application, build application locally on the Windows based system, and sometime the server where these application will be end up running is Linux. And
Mm-hmm.
and everybody knows who have happened to work on the two different systems, the binaries collide all the time, and that's where the inconsistency trap will eventually give us a very nightmare forensic for that. So this is a big problem back in the days. And then somebody from the some company, from the some planet, or the some part of the earth came up with a solution for that. Let's bundle them everything that the application coincide as a container. So the container has all the dependencies, the environment consistencies, and the all the configuration setting in one place. And now you're a Windows or in a Linux in system, you do not need to figure about do the forensic or the nightmare forensic of how things can go wrong, because now we have the predictability that application will behave the same regardless the operating environment it's in. So that's where the containers comes along. When the containers
Mm-hmm.
comes along, I think it's created a sophisticated methodology. Like you build an application. Now you write a Docker file for that, and you push the images into the registry. Then the registry has to be somewhere in the Docker Hub or Elastic Container Registry on AWS or GitHub Container
Mm-hmm.
Registry or the Azure ACR or some other fundamental. So that's a big shift in the how people do these kind of shifting. We move into the containers. We end up having not one containers. We have many other container. Like we want a system to be a self-healing. So that we need Kubernetes as well. So we introduced two new methodologies or the new ecosystem to how we operate application like containers and Kubernetes. So this fundamentally changes the DevOps starting from 2020, I believe, when the
Mm-hmm.
push for containers emerge in a way that everybody has some sort of urgency to deploy application on containers and Kubernetes environment. So that urgency is drastically changing the ecosystem plus the DevOps cycle in as well. So then we move into the GitOps pipeline where we say, here's the cluster, here's your GitHub code. Let's say how the drift is happening between what's written in the GitHub and what's running in the cluster. We build a technology for that using Argo CD and Flux to see if I ask you to run two cluster at a time in a production environment in a in a GitHub code base, but somehow one of the cluster is gone, is being stopped, or something bad happened to it, then the
Mm-hmm.
GitOps can sync that up, and then I push the desired state as a reconciliation loop for that.
Yeah.
So fundamentally, at this moment of time, we introduces so many technologies to it. Then we introduces the policy as code and a lot of other things in a traditional DevOps environment now, in a traditional DevOps is like this. You build an application, write a Docker file, push the container image to the registry somewhere, then you build a GitOps pipeline, then you do a policy as code using Kyverno or Open Policy Agent, then you make sure that your system where the applications are running are observable alongside the application it hosts. So these are the traditional environment. Now the shift is happening in the AI agent waves. Like everything we have been developing, there's an assistant AI in the umbrella. Now you
Mm-hmm.
can add some agent where you can deploy they can build the container images, add the Docker file, and then push the container registry somewhere. And that's all the time, not just a one container. Now there's another agent that can build a cluster and deploy your application on top of it. And there's another agent that do the forensic and the
Yep.
troubleshooting and observability. So these agent is now the big thing for us. And we wanted to incorporate
Yep.
that. So to fundamentally, the DevOps stay where it is, but these new overlapping pillars we call agent, this actually drastically simplifies the DevOps pipeline and sometime in convoluted, because if you give more permission to what's expected, you broke cluster, and you always do not you come to a point where now you need to know a lot of the forensic skills. AI does his job, but something
Mm-hmm.
bad happens. You come to a point where you need a full forensic of how and when it happened and what was the last time. Is it a human in a loop who breaks the cluster, or is it the
Mm-hmm.
AI that fundamentally causing cluster every time the new production release flown through? So these, I think that DevOps is evolving rapidly because of the container revolution. And then now
Mm-hmm.
we come to a point where Kubernetes and containers are complex. We added agent that simplifies the management of container and Kubernetes, but drastically increases the time to delivery and everything if something bad happened to that cluster. So for what? So my key takeaways,
Mm-hmm.
DevOps, it is where it is, how it started. It changes all the time, the little pieces of it. We come to the point the container revolution started. Now we come to the point where the AI agents are everywhere. And that's where people started to think about, like, is it the DevOps stay we all know about it, or is it's drastically changed now?
Okay, yeah, yeah, I totally agree that the way you answered it, it more sounded like the mindset has been changed, but the tools and the expected results are the same. Like they just work the same way. Like if error comes, you have to like check the whole forensic results and everything. So I agree with you on that.
Next question.
So yeah, so as you were mentioning that Linux and networking, like when we use CI/CD, like how for the newcomers to the DevOps field or to the operations field, like how important are Linux networking, Git, and these Docker commands are with the cloud and modern DevOps tools? How important are they?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think this is a very, very good question, and I think people keep asking all the time,
Hmm.
because I think
Yeah.
one of the I think a biggest thing for that is, like, I think uh, once again let me add the question that Ahmed added. So how important are Linux networking, Git, and scripting compared with cloud and DevOps and modern DevOps tool? So I think this is a very good question. Currently, we're living in an AI shifted paradigm. I think one of the worry sign for me is that any newcomer jump into these DevOps and the software development in general, they forget the understand they forget the importance of the going deep dive into the Linux, because
Exactly.
now with
Exactly.
the AI you can
Hmm.
ask question, how can actually I can create a directory, or can I push my file into that directory, or I can track the IP or the traces of the IP. You can how to build IP tables, how to build somehow where to find the port for that. So there's a command in Linux. We in the back day 10 years back time, we had a hard time figuring that out and finding the article which has the right information into it. Luckily, with the AI assisted tool agent, all the commands available for that. So my worry is that people might forget the importance of these underlying detail that's become a vital tool for us if something bad happen in a near future. So people will typically say, yes, Linux is important, but they try to actually trust more on the AI side of the things. And that's
Mm-hmm.
become a very angle because AI right now in not in a shape that can actually find a comparison between some two different commands and what impact it has. And sometimes the privileges issues in a Linux, it doesn't know because AI don't have the knowledge how your organization set up your
Mm-hmm.
system administration tools. So the AI answering the right question, but the reason for the implementation becomes hard because the privileges won't set, and sometime in order to overcome those privileges somebody act very badly like a hacker on that system, and that's where the organization might have a big loss even on their infrastructure cost side or some of the security barrier that can be compromised. So I think this is a worry for a lot of the
Mm.
big that they
Yeah,
rely to AI.
yeah, that's a great reminder that cloud services automate the infrastructure. Yeah, but they don't replace understanding of how they are working. So that's important that you should learn how they are working. Yeah.
Absolutely,
So
100%.
yeah,
And I think that, and the same lies to the Git as well. Like everybody, I think the Git is a very important tool because
no doubt. Yeah.
universally, if the developers is actually writing an application, I think Git is one of the tool that you always say, always when you work on that, work with the GitHub, you always say, I have a very little knowledge about how the Git is working because you imagine there's a 2 million developers over the internet who's been building an application and working with the client and the customer projects, and the Git is always evolving in terms of the customer feedback, in terms of the organizational structure, in terms of the developers requirement. So always know very less about the GitHub. And I think the
Mm-hmm.
AI engineers and the developers nowadays are relying more on the AI to actually commit code and the commit added. So I think this is
Yeah.
good. I don't want to people memorize these commands for the Git, but I
Mm.
think what it happened behind the scene, the core understanding is important. So what I typically
Yeah.
do, if
That
I
is
don't
missing. Yeah.
understand what the Git command is doing, I ask AI what this command is actually is it for. So rather than
Mm.
I'm looking for the command, I'm looking for the reason I want
Mm.
to enter that command. So I think that mentality has to be there as well. So I think
Yeah.
if you look at back in time, like in back in the days when the network, when the software become a big thing, like coding and writing an application become a big thing, so there's a push for that, that networking has to be work no matter what. So people forget about the networking components, how it's been working. No, but today's modern developers, they do not know what happened, which
Mm.
networking tool we have been consuming on top of the software delivery life cycle. I
Yeah.
think with the AI, that same thing happening with the Linux, Git, and other component in the software delivery. People really do not give any importance to the underlying details of these tools. So I think it's good for the most part, but it become bad when you completely ignorant of it. So I want
Mm-hmm.
people to not ignore the importance of understanding these tools, but they can always and always and always use for what AI for searching the right command to enter to in a right command to do their job. So I don't want people to literally forget what these tools are. I want people to stay focused on the internal working of these tools, but always use AI to make your
Mm-hmm.
time more refresher than doing remembering the tedious tasks on the Git or
Yeah.
the Linux
So
and others.
like the key takeaway is like use AI productively so that you can know how the things are working instead of just blindly trusting the AI. Am I right?
Oh yes, absolutely,
Yeah.
uh, absolutely, 100%.
Yeah.
There's a some chat for us in the some of the comments as well. So I mean, let's
Okay.
add those as well. purpose peak 299 say Git and Linux command are the backbone of the DevOps. Yes, we are totally agree with it. Uh, and another question is says people directly jump to AWS and Azure, but they do not learn even basic issues of Linux and Git like. Yes, that's typically true. So it's because of the AI or organization. So that's a very good question here for the purpose peak. I think I think the problem, and I think this is a very good analogy I keep telling people about. When I develop application today, when back in the 1918, 1970, or way
Mm-hmm.
older than that, I really care about how the networking happening behind the scene. I'm talking about the internal networking engines. Like what are the networking pyramids like IPs and the ports I have been using. Modern days, we don't care about the application we have been developing. Networking is already been there. There's network address translation for me. There's IP and the port mapping is always happening behind the scene for me. So I don't care literally what the networking tool have been using. That's where I think AI might do the same for these other tools like Linux or Git. Like people, they yes, they are in the back end of the day. I don't care. I ask a prompt, tell me the right command. I executed it. But the problem is that we tend to automate the software delivery life cycle if you don't under know the crux and the inner details of these tools that we've been developing all the time. That's become very cumbersome. And one of the other reason I'm very worried about abstracting the Git and the Linux on top of AI layer is that the Git is always been evolving. As you know, millions of people write code. There always been a new solution developing for the Git to work properly in the production environment. That's same for the Linux as well. You Linux is always evolving and always keep going on a evolving phase. Now some other people in the some other galaxy is developing AI that they can actually enhance the Git capabilities and enhance the Linux kernel or other capabilities, but some other AI tool doesn't aware of that. So that's become a very problematic, even on the vendor side and on the consumer side. This is a big problem right now. So I always tell people write the command in the prompt and ask for what it does rather than searching for the command. Let's see what the command does, because if you the one who type and enter the command, you are the one to blame and nobody. You don't have to hide
Mm.
anywhere. So that's a big problem right now. But our to Ahmed, I think I take more time than usual.
Yeah. Are there any questions on the comments? You can answer that as well. Like I can wait. No harm.
Yeah, it's good to see some people lining up for us,
Hmm.
Ahmed as well. Ahmed, do you have any last few two, three questions we can
Yeah,
ask?
I have a very important and my favorite question is like for the fresh who fresh graduates who wants to like jump into this field. Is Kubernetes really mandatory for the DevOps engineers, like for the fresh engineers?
Oh yes, that's a very good question. Kubernetism, Kubernetism. Assalamu alaikum. Wa alaikum salam. Kubernetism. If you nice to see you in the chat. If you have any question,
Walaikum
please put them in
salam.
the chat as well. Let's. That's a very good question added by the Ahmed. Let me actually add on the screen. So Ahmed is saying, is Kubernetes really mandatory for a DevOps engineer in 2026, especially for fresh graduate? I think it's where I think if you are in an intern DevOps or started your career of DevOps and Kubernetes, that's a big question. Everybody trying to come up with a different opinion for that. I told always people all the time, DevOps is a little bit require more knowledge than usual. If you call yourself a DevOps intern or directly jump into the DevOps role, things become different for you.
Hmm.
I always ask people spend a little time on the software development. Be familiarized how developers write code. So now it's easy for you because now if somebody asks me, can I go for the DevOps intern? I can say yes, you can go for it. Just because the writing a code is become very easy because of the AI. But you need to understand this. Writing code is just one thing. If the code running in your local system, it doesn't make you any engineer. The writing code that run in the production environment where the customer are using all the time, 24 by 7, and you troubleshooting their issues, that's where the engineering becomes very critical piece, and that's where we want engineer to rely on the production system. The production system is your learning knowledge. So mostly people forget about the production system. They tend to keep running system locally, and they say they have the knowledge, but I think people try to experiment on the production system. You find companies and projects where you have the hands-on to the system where the applications are running and the business has been generated. So you need to know these places where you can actually learn from the production system. So I think
So
DevOps intern.
yours, like, yeah, you
Yes,
complete
I'm.
yourself. Sorry to interrupt you. I want to ask, like, if a fresh person want to learn Kubernetes, so he has to go through the development phase first. Am I right?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely, and that's
Yeah.
I'm coming to the I'm coming to
Mm-hmm.
that point because I'm saying the first thing
Yeah.
is that because there's a two question hidden into this one. One is, can I directly jump into the DevOps role, and the question two is, Kubernetes is very much crucial for me, even though I am a DevOps intern. This is my for first job. So that's where the two question comes into the
Yeah.
pictures.
Yeah. Exactly.
My one
Exactly. That's
is,
the
do I
question.
go for the DevOps job? So I tell people previously, because of when the AI is not becoming a mainstream, do not spend at least 1 year in the software development side of the thing. Now I tell people bravely, yes, you can go for the DevOps intern just because of the AI, because the writing code is not a big deal.
Mm.
Now, if you run applications that the AI is generated for you in locally, I don't think you are gaining any knowledge. So I'm telling here people is like, go to the production system where you can deploy application that AI assisted one. So that's a one suggestion from my side. The running of application in a production system is vital for learning anything, whether it be DevOps or software development or the AI. So if you are a DevOps intern, make sure you hitting a production server so you can gaining knowledge on daily basis. So that's important. Spend more of your time initially 6 7 months on the prompt engineering with the AI, so you will become to know how the application has been written. When the time comes, you develop application deploying, run those on a production system where the real system is attracting the real user and the business is generating revenue. Now the point comes, how do people find those projects like initially? So there are companies, there are projects you find online. That's up to you. That's another topic we cover in the future episode as well. So suggestion number one, yes, you can go for the DevOps intern, spend time with the AI or learning application or building application, deploy application production system where the real business is running and gaining knowledge from that. Once you understand that, so Kubernetes is a no way to go right now. Kubernetes started as a cluster, is a cluster thing. Now Kubernetes is a cloud. That's a big thing right now. Any cloud provider you go in, Kubernetes is underlying for you. Now we build the platform for the developer and the DevOps so that Kubernetes become easier for them. But having a in fundamental knowledge of Kubernetes is absolutely vital, not only for the developer, but also for the DevOps engineer as well. So there's a no way go back right now. I think like Kubernetes is for DevOps, is like the Git is for the developer. So
Mm-hmm.
developer is they know Git, we call them developer. And if DevOps people know Kubernetes, we call them DevOps engineer. How about you, Ahmed?
Yeah. So now let us address the elephant in the room. Will AI replace the DevOps engineers?
Oh, wonderful. Just we have some few
Hmm.
question from the if a person a
Yeah. Okay.
KCNA,
Okay.
CKAD, CNPE, and RHCPSA. I know all other, but RHCS I don't know about it. But can he land a handsome job as a platform engineer? Please. I think there's another repeating question once again. I had a mock exam of KCNA, got 94% in a mock exam. Should move to the real KCNA? Yes, absolutely. You definitely go there. And the last question is, what are the basic technologies one should learn to move as an intern? So three questions there, Ahmed. Let's wait here. So if a person
Yeah. Okay.
KCNA, I think KCNA is a job as a KCNA is your introduction to the Kubernetes. So yes, you understand the vocabulary that rest of the ecosystem is no. So you are good in hand. Now you have also done the CKAD. That's a Kubernetes certified Kubernetes application developer. You are very good for the platform engineering role because now you understand the cluster, the cloud, the container, and the code. You're up for the shape for the platform engineering role. Now you've done the CNPE, which tell you what the platform engineering vocabulary is. So now I think if you have done all of these certification, you are more enough good individual for the platform engineering role. Now my best wishes for you if you apply for that role as well, because that's enough to actually quantify or qualify you as a platform engineer. So that's good as an initial start. Now you said that you actually had mock exam cleared as 94% question in a mock. I think you should go for the KCNA because it gives you the vocabulary of the Kubernetes ecosystem, and that's very much important for every DevOps engineer right now. Uh, what are the basic technologies one should learn to move as intern? I think it is. I think right now the question become things is this one: how much you ask for AI and how much you learn from AI. So that's the question here. So right now, back in the days, we go for the scratch. Like if you ask me, I need a job as an Angular developer. I spent 6 7 months learning in a one room and do not do anything serious and just spend more time on the one laptop in front of me 6 7 hours daily and just learn Angular for the 7 months and then go for the job. I think this is gone now. You can be a very fast learner pace if you know how to use the AI. So I think you learn the basic from the AI for any technology, and then eventually you move up the ladder. Then these containers, Kubernetes are essential, the one vital piece. Then the GitOps is a must to have knowledge, and then there's a policy engine like something flowing into the cluster. You need to validate first before moving into the production environment. So the policy is very crucial. Then you need to know the Prometheus and Grafana, the monitoring tool. That's enough for a DevOps kind of a role. If you're application developer side of the things, you need to know a little bit of the GitOps, little bit of the software development, and more on the architectural side of the software development, because writing code is not a challenge these days. Is architecting them has become a very big title these days. Well, I think AI take more time to replace DevOps. I think I always tell people do not think about the replace word, because I think it doesn't give you the any right set of the boundaries. Why here as a humans, there isn't somebody landed up in your job and take your job. I think we are the humans who understand the business first. We have the very good knowledge how the business is running today and continues to be on. We are the one who knows how business should be evolving. So AI is here to assist us rather than it's replacing anything. So I think you should uh, try to think that AI accelerate your learning journey. Number one. Now, on top of it, you build your kind of you build the strategic path, like what should to learn. So let's say if we have a new project coming up in a CK, let's say somebody give me a project tomorrow and ask me to deploy that project on an EKS cluster. What should I learn then? I need to know how to create an AWS account. I need to know how the EC2 machine work. I need to know the networking, the API, IPs and ports. I need to know the Kubernetes cluster, and I need to know the services on AWS, Elastic Container Service, Fargate, or EKS. So these are 6, 7 things I need to learn today. So now I ask AI to tell me how to deploy my application on these services. AI assists us with a boilerplate code. We take only 30 to 40 minutes. Now I can run and enhance my learning to become a more resilient application for my client and for my customer. So this is the AI gives us the faster time to trajectory to win the projects from the market rather than replacing anything. So I think we need to look at from the different angle. So
Exactly. So yeah, AI accelerates your learning and productivity. Yeah, you're right.
awesome. Any
So
final question, Ahmed, and then we wrap up the discussion.
yeah, yeah. Last question, like it's more like a personal question of your own experience, not the general. So like if like you were in the place of a fresh graduate or a person who is at the zero of the DevOps journey. So, what would you learn? What would you skip? And what projects would you build to become job ready?
Awesome, Ahmed. You
Yeah,
always come up with some very wonderful questions. So full
yeah.
credits
Thank
for
you.
you.
Yeah,
There. Let me actually add some on the screen what Ahmed is asking about. If you
yeah.
were starting your DevOps career from zero today, what would you learn? What would you skip? And what project would you build to become a job ready? This is a very good question. I think we can treat that one by one. I already told people DevOps is a complicated job. Do not go as a fresher. I always people tell this you have to be a very brave enough people to go through that job that requires you to manage a production system with a zero knowledge of anything. So you have a very brave enough person. Now these days, I tell people, yes, you go there just because the AI is assisting you. So now you can learn from AI. You can ask AI to run how to build an application. You can spend 2 3 days on that. You understand the basic crux of the application building. Then you know front end and back end are the two backbone of my application. And then there's a database that I need to understand that. So AI assisting you on the fly, telling you how to sync your code between front end and back end, what dependency to fetch, which languages to use to write those applications. So that's good. That's why I tell people now you can go for the DevOps intern. But keep in consideration that previous knowledge is vital. You do not skip that. You do not fundamentally skip any of those parts. If you are
Yeah,
skip,
as we were talking earlier, like you should never skip the how things working at the back end.
yes,
Yeah, you are
absolutely.
right. Yeah, carry on, Sam Safdar.
Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah.
And that's where you actually build the path to become the DevOps intern. Now, let's say, what should you learn? I think fundamentally, let's skip anything. Let's say if a client give me the project tomorrow that run on Azure Kubernetes service or Azure Container App, what should I
Mm-hmm.
learn today? I need to know the Azure CLI, how to create an account on Azure. Two things coming up. I need to know virtual machines, how the virtual machine works. I need to know how I can put my code in that virtual machine. I need to know what services are available for me to run my code on that container technology that Azure is providing me, Azure Container App. That is enough for me to learn. So I tell people Do not learn anything. First, go for the customer, go for the requirement, grab the requirement, and ask yourself, what should I learn? The problem here is that people look viciously on the posting algorithms on the LinkedIn, and then they hunt for every. They start learning everything. That's bad.
Yeah, I can vouch for that. You always told us that you should look for the customer first and then the skill.
Oh
Yeah.
yes, absolutely, 100%.
Hmm.
Uh, and that's the thing I always keep telling people about as well. So go
So as per
and
from your answers, sorry, I'm interrupting you. Like the projects one should build right now, should be like what are the requirement of the customers nowadays? What are the requirement of the business nowadays
yes, absolutely.
for
And
to
I think
become job ready?
100%. I think here's the correct way of thinking about that. I think from my perspective and 10 years of experience I have, first grab the customer, look at some of the project and the requirement that is emerging right now. The one of the requirement is emerging on the market is like you build a sovereign cloud. Like everybody say, you have an AI is leaking data, is not any good business. So make sure you are not leaking any business, leaking any data. So this means we fundamentally building data centers in our own country, in our own regions, or some time of private cloud. So you're building the private cloud for yourself. That's a requirement. Now you build the application that run on their private cloud. So that's where we typically see the containers evolving because it can run on anywhere, whether it be in on-prem cloud services or in private cloud or in cloud provider on AWS on Azure, container runs anywhere. So this mean typically my first learning technology would be a container. Container requires the Linux primitive. So I need to learn Linux containers first. Then you need to know how to put the images into the container registry somewhere. I build a CI/CD pipeline. Whenever I commit my code, images has been built, deployed to the registry, and run into the cluster. Where that cluster is, it might be the Kubernetes cluster. If that's not the case, it might be the AWS or Azure cluster or the private cloud cluster. You need to run those cluster in there. So then you, if your application is running, then you need to understand how the metrics I will be collected to understand if my customers are happy or satisfying with my services. So that's a full career path. Or you do not need to learn everything before picking the first project. So you need to know Linux, yes, good. Few commands I know, good. I need to know good containers, yes. I know how Docker files work, how to build the images, how to push the image into the container. I do not know how the CI/CD work. Don't worry. You understand how the build path is work. When the projects arrive, you can enhance your skill set and being able to go to that path that required the more skill set at. I think the problem here in that our region is that people spend more time on the technology and less time on the business understanding. That's a not good paths to learn anything. I need to know what my customers' requirements are. Then I build my career path to fulfill those requirements. You are the beginning learning journey. You don't need what's happening. Let's see what the trends are evolving. And one technology that's running anywhere, that's container today. What's one technology that's everywhere in the cloud? That's Kubernetes. Yes, if I know these two, I'm in a very good happy shape. Now those technologies has their own learning curve, like how to build the container images, how the pod deployment replica set works. That's you spend more time in getting the more details out of it. But in order to grow up the first project or to become a job ready, let's have a knowledge of these technologies in a basic place where you can actually win the projects for the company. And then you can actually go and a deeper dive of understanding how those internal details work that can actually make myself proficient to grab those projects for sustainable growth of the company. So do not go for the full flash scratch learning. Collect the pieces of information from the internet that is vital for every infrastructure. Learn those technologies, be familiar with them, build the first, collect the, being able to find the connections on the LinkedIn and the social media, grab some of the project, start putting that knowledge on those projects, enhancing your skill set, and then where the journey started.
Yeah, I think that's a valuable advice because recruiters often care more about the real deployments. Yeah, so like I think we are running out of time right now.
Thank you, Ahmed, for
Yeah,
actually
thank you
joining here
so
on the
much.
live
Yeah.
stream. And I think we started a new wave rather than me explaining things. I always
Hmm.
see people have questions rather than people making comments. You can join the channel live all the time and you can have more debates on that as well. And if you have any questions you want us to consider for the next stream, please put them on the chat. We will definitely feature those as well. So me and Ahmed will be more focused on this channel for the coming years and coming months. So stay focused. Make sure to subscribe and hit the notification button so you stay alerted when we go live again. So once
Yeah.
again, last few final questions, the few final thoughts. The future isn't DevOps versus AI. I was telling people this phrase all the time. It's DevOps powered by AI because that's where see the tools are evolving. The AI AWS DevOps agent is recently come up. So the DevOps enhances its power because of the AI. The engineer who thrive over the next 5 years will understand not only how to automate deployment, but also how to build intelligent platforms, secure software supply chain, and AI enabled developer experience. To talk about three personas here: how to build intelligent platforms, software supply chain, and AI enabled developer experience. That will be the focus of the coming questionnaires on this YouTube channel. Make sure to subscribe, and we look forward to meeting you again in some of the future episode. Bye bye. Till then, next time.